Hey, sweet friends. I hope you are doing well today. If you are new to my channel, my name is Heather Sweetman, and I am a mom to 4 kiddos. One with my youngest is a daughter with special needs. She has quadriplegic spastic cerebral palsy. She was diagnosed unofficially when she was 8 months old, officially with an MRI when she was about a year and a half. And this channel is just to offer compassion, emotional support, a YouTube friend to be like, I might not be walking exactly in your shoes, but I do know what it is to receive a diagnosis and to watch your child struggle and suffer in ways that other people don't necessarily have to struggle and suffer, and just finding the beauty and blessing in all of that, as well as being honest with how it can be very painful and hard at times, especially in those early days when you are just receiving your diagnosis and really grappling with somebody just totally ran a stop sign. I'm glad I waited for them to stop and not assume that they were going to stop. I lost my train of thought. Anyway, finding the blessing in the brokenness. And so anyway, I thought that I'm trying to publish videos on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and I thought what I would do is on my Thursday videos just start to tell parts of our story. I think each of us, I have the ghost look right now, you're welcome. We don't edit on this channel. It's all unedited, unfiltered, raw. You get what you get with me. There was a few days ago I published a video that my camera actually fell out of the stand and onto the floor. And that's just the way we roll around here. That is what it's like to be a mom. You just roll with it. Whether you're a special needs mom or a mom, or just a mom. Not just a mom. You know what I mean. Anyway, so it's a Thursday, so I am going to just share, the very beginning part of our story. I actually have a blog, heathersweetman.com, if you want to check it out, where I have in short chunks shared our story, and I think there's roughly 52-ish blog posts on that. I don't really publish to it anymore. I might pick that up again in the future, but it's just a resource out there for parents who are looking for a soft place to land. When Finley first received her diagnosis, I actually came to YouTube to find almost like emotional support, like how to emotionally process a diagnosis, and I just couldn't find anything. And the longer I have been a special needs mom, I've realized just how your time, any parent, your time is so limited, and then put on top of that a diagnosis. There's just no time to make content like this. So, and the only reason I'm doing it is because I'm doing it in my car. You will see me in my house, but from time to time, but I'm trying to utilize car time. And I couldn't have made this content 5 years ago, or even 2 years ago, probably. It's just where I'm at in my journey. We're 10 years in. And, but yeah, when Finley got her diagnosis, it was hard to find books. It was hard to find, there was plenty of resource on what CP is, or doctors, or, programs, but nothing. I found 2 books that were more about the emotional side of it. So I want to help fill that space. We need more voices to be filling the space of emotionally processing diagnosis, caregiving, and the incredible, very difficult, but needed and necessary and beautiful task that is. So you can check out my blog, heathersweetman.com. I have spoken long enough about that. So I just want to start with the background. Matt, my husband, and I, we moved to Chicago in 2009. We live in Chicago, in the actual city of Chicago. Chicago is such a well-known area that it's very common. If you live within an hour of Chicago, or 2 hours even, you just say you're from Chicago. We actually live in the city. We're just a couple miles north of Wrigley Field. If you are familiar, if you've been here before, it is a huge, sprawling city. We moved here in 2009 to start a new church. We are church planters, and we felt like God called us to start a new church. And then the family of churches that we are with, called Confluence, the leader just asked us to pray about coming to Chicago. He had a couple cities in mind, and Chicago was one of them. And so we prayed about it. We felt like God spoke to us about coming to Chicago, and we moved here. We have 4 kids, 2 kids at the time. Our oldest was 15 months old, and our baby they were both babies, but my older baby was 15 months old, and my baby was 2 months old. And we moved into a little apartment that was on a really, really busy street. We had no idea how busy that street was going to be, because we looked at the apartment at 10 o'clock at night several weeks before, and lo and behold, turned out to be so busy. And here I am trying to parallel park with my 2 babies in the back seat, and cars are just like it was just absolutely crazy. So we moved to Chicago in 2009 to church plant, had the 2 boys, Jones and McCrae. Paisley came along in 2011. And our joke is that we like to either move church buildings or move apartments either right before we had a baby or right after we had a baby. And it just so happened that the day Paisley was born, our church was meeting for the very first time in a brand new, a new facility to us. I was about to say brand new facility. Not true. All the buildings in Chicago are very old. It was an old school building, new to us, and we were so excited. And my husband Matt was not present because he was in the hospital with me, enjoying sweet Paisley. And then I got pregnant. Our dream was to have 2 boys and 2 girls, and so when I got pregnant with Finley, we found out she was a girl. We were so excited. Paisley was so excited to have a sister. And at that 20-week ultrasound, when we did find out that she was going to be a girl, we also, the doctor, she didn't want to alarm me, so she just told me, like, hey, Finley is in, or we didn't know her name was Finley at the time, but your baby is in, she's not moving, she must be asleep. I want to send you to the hospital. They have higher tech ultrasound equipment where they can get into different positions. They can take different shots that we can't take here at the office. So I go down. Matt didn't come with me because we didn't know it was serious. There was actually some things that the doctor had seen that she was a little bit concerned about, but it wasn't for sure because she couldn't confirm it on her ultrasound machinery. So I go downtown on my own to the hospital, and the ultrasound technician is kind of talking to me and, taking images, and the technician actually says to me, which I found out later, she should never had told me any of this. She just kind of spurted out like, oh yeah, your baby has echogenic bowel, and that could be a marker for CF or CP or Downs, but it's no big deal because you can terminate your pregnancy up until 24 weeks and you're only 20 weeks. And I mean, it was just like being punched in the face. Like, so excited that we found out that we were having a girl to something is going on with your baby. And so I was like, well, personally, I won't terminate this pregnancy. Is there anything that I can, is there any way to know what's going on with this baby? Like, what are the chances of her having some sort of diagnosis? Is it like 1 in 1,000? Like, And she just goes, nope, we don't know. I mean, she was just so, the bedside manner was appalling. And so then she was like, the head of cardiology is going to come and check on the baby's heart. I was like, okay, what's going on with her heart? And I can't remember what she said. But I was so rattled, I think is probably the best word for it. I was shocked. I was rattled. I was scared. I think there are some people who, and thank the Lord for these people, there are some people on this earth who are naturally just so drawn to people with disability, which thank the Lord for those people, because I think most people, we are fearful of what we don't know, right? So we don't want to offend, or we don't want to hurt, or we don't know what to say. So then we don't do or say anything, or worse, we stare or ask inappropriate questions. And because out of nerves, not out of a bad heart, just out of nerves. And I remember when I was a kid, my mom had an ironing business. This was, our little town didn't have dry cleaning. And my mom had an ironing business. People would bring her all their clean laundry and she would iron. And this was before, the fabric that never wrinkles or whatever. I feel like everything with stretch in it these days doesn't wrinkle. And I don't even know where my iron is half the time. But one of her clients would come, and she had 2 kids with Down syndrome. And for whatever reason, now I'm completely embarrassed by this, but I want to be honest. I was nervous as a child. I was nervous. I didn't know what to say. And they were really sweet kids. Like, if anyone knows someone with Down syndrome, you know that they are the sweetest, kindest, most loving people. And but I just remember feeling so awkward. And I remember, guys, okay, I'm about to say something horrible, but as a child, I remember thinking, please God, I pray that I never have a special needs child. And that breaks my heart. I think that was coming from a place that wasn't like, I felt like I would be a bad mom to a special needs child. And so all of these fears are bombarding me as I am laying on this table waiting for the pediatric cardiologist to come in. And my phone had died on the way to the hospital. So I'm like, I need to call Matt. I have no way to call him. All of these childhood fears and memories are bombarding my mind, my body. And so the pediatric cardiologist comes in. She's a very dear old lady and just takes a look at the heart, Finley's heart, and she just says, her heart looks perfect. You have nothing to worry about. And she left. And then the other lady came back in, and I can't remember. She said something else to me that was, I just said to her, I was like, I need some time alone and I need to use your phone. Something like that. And so she thankfully left me. And I called Matt, and as soon as he said hello, I just broke down in tears. And one of the things, we were church planting, we were starting a new church. If you know anything about that, you know, church leadership is difficult. It's not for the faint of heart. It's not a career, it's a calling. But you don't get into it for the money, you do it because God's called you to do it. And it is a continual laying down of your own desires and a continual carrying the cross that Jesus has given you to bear. And we had been in the throes of some really challenging leadership stuff. And so the thought that just kept coming to me is like, this is like raising children in a city, an actual city, is really, really hard. Cities are not built for families. They are, oftentimes people don't want you to have kids there. The school systems are horrible. This was my 4th pregnancy. We were currently living in a neighborhood of Chicago. If you're not familiar with Chicago, Chicago has neighborhoods kind of like New York has boroughs. I think our neighborhoods are a little bit smaller than the boroughs. That would make sense because Chicago is smaller than New York. I don't know if I'm technically right about that, but it gives you a general idea. And a neighborhood could have 100,000 people, 200,000 people in it. A small neighborhood would have like 40,000 people. So I grew up in a town that was 60,000 ish, I think. So the thoughts that were just plaguing my mind were just thoughts of, how am I going to do this? How am I going to continue with this church plant adventure and continue to raise my babies in the city and raise a special needs child? And I didn't know about all the therapies. I didn't know about all the doctor's appointments. I just knew that a diagnosis was going to be life-altering, depending on the severity of it. There was no one really close to me with a major disability. I didn't have any friends who had children with Downs or CP, or, I know there's a million different types of diagnosis. There's things that are super, super rare. I had like, I don't know, friends of friends I knew, but no one in my direct circle that I could be like, please give me advice. So I just was absolutely bombarded by fear and anxiety. And how long am I going here? I'm at 16 minutes. I'm trying to decide if I want to keep going or if I want to tell another part of the story later on. I think I'm going to leave it there. I will say, just to finish up, I talked to Matt. He said, as soon as he said hello, I just broke out into tears, explained what was going on. He offered to come get me. I really didn't want to have to wait for him to come get me. I ended up taking a taxi cab home, which was a whole nother horrible experience. Ended up with a very gruff taxi cab driver, which probably would have been fine had I not just been through what I had been through. Thankfully, some dear friends of ours were with us in town. They're about my parents' age, John and Linda Lamferman, and they were in town visiting when we got this news, and so it was such a gift to have them there with us. We were able to share, and they were able to pray and just bring a lot of comfort that, we didn't have any family in Chicago. My parents were living in Atlanta, Georgia at the time. My husband's parents were in England. He is from England. And so we were just really, really grateful to have John and Linda with us. So I'm going to leave you there. Next Thursday, I will be just sharing. The next phase for me of the pregnancy was just dealing with a lot of anxiety, and I'll leave it at that. But thank you for listening. If you have made it this far, would you do me a favor and like this video, hit the little thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed, subscribe. I'm really trying to get to 100 subscribers. What month are we in? I would love to do it by the end of October, and you can help me get there. So hit that subscribe button. You can turn on the little bell icon, and that will alert you when I have new videos. And if you want to check out my blog, heathersweetman.com, you might find some comfort and encouragement there. So, all right, I'll talk to you soon, friend. Bye.